Continuing with my Sternritter character analysis series, I'm back with a comprehensive deep dive into a unique character who physically appears to have been inspired by Bruce Lee, and his signature claw weapon that he wields is inspired from the likes of Street Fighter and X-Men. I'm of course talking about Sternritter I Cang Du The Iron. From his unique philosophical perspective to his amazing battle against Hitsugaya, I will be covering everything about his character in this video, including his devotion to Yhwach. Be sure to stick around until the end of this video, where I will be breaking down how Cang Du's schrift ability works, and how he was able to defend himself against the sternritter grandmaster Jugram Haschwalth, which is no small feat. Hopefully by the end of this video you'll have a better understanding of his character. So without further delay, this is my complete breakdown and analysis of Cang Du. Before the video begins, only 12% of the people who watch my content are subscribed to the channel. If you enjoy these videos, then subscribe and stick around for more content just like this. Now let's get back to the topic of the video. Cang Du makes his debut appearance within chapter 495 of the manga and in episode 4 of the 1000-Year Blood War arc anime. Cang Du is a tall, muscular man with a very distinctive scar running down the left side of his mouth. He has short, spiky hair and blue eyes, and is typically seen to be wearing the white sternritter uniform made up of the hooded cloak with his trench coat customized to look like a training gi. He has an East Asian inspired design with hints of Bruce Lee being visible in his physical appearance, making me want to add him to the long list of Bruce Lee inspired characters like Martial Law from Tekken, who Cang Du also resembles. Speaking of fighting games, he also wields his iconic reishi claws, which remind me of the claws that Vega from Street Fighter wields. They're also similar to the most iconic claw wielder in fiction, Wolverine from the X-Men. Cang Du is characterized by his stoic and reserved nature, choosing to say very little in comparison to a lot of the other outspoken sternritter. It's a breath of fresh air to see someone not constantly yapping their trap. Cang Du is extremely loyal to Yhwach, dedicating his life to fulfilling his orders. His loyalty runs so deep that he has declared that he will not be killed by anyone other than Yhwach. He lives by the philosophy that those who live together should die together, which reflects his belief in mutual trust and friendship, as well as believing that people have a shared fate. It's a very merciless philosophy to follow, and he enforces it with his schrift ability, the Iron, which allows him to harden his skin. In chapter 553, he reveals that he does not believe that the Shinigami's Bankai have a mind of their own, stating that he does not believe in pantheism, which explains why he is so loyal to Yhwach, the supposed one true god of the Quincy, representing monotheism like the Abrahamic religions, which appear to have heavily influenced the concept of Quincy within Bleach. He also demonstrated a lot of trust and belief in Yhwach and his decisions, as he doesn't react in anger and confusion like the other sternritter did when Yhwach had appointed Uryu as his successor. Instead, he had shown little to no reaction upon hearing the news. Not much is revealed about Cang Du's backstory within the manga, so we don't really know how he got that scar over his mouth. It's for this reason that I'll start by breaking down his role within the 1000-Year Blood War arc, beginning with his first chronological appearance within the story, which is in chapter 495. We see him fully cloaked and donning his hood when he first appears in front of Hitsugaya to challenge him. Most of the battle between Cang Du and Hitsugaya during the first Quincy invasion occurs off screen when it comes to the manga. However, episode 4 of the 1000-Year Blood War arc anime reveals an exclusive look into their battle prior to Hitsugaya having his Bankai stolen. We see them clashing as Cang Du is able to break his ice by using his reishi claws, as well as revealing his schrift ability, which of course is the Iron, which he uses to defend himself from strikes from Hitsugaya's Zanpakuto. We even see Cang Du have his arm frozen, but he manages to break free and push back against Hitsugaya, sending him flying. In chapter 496, we see the young captain activate his Bankai, but Cang Du steals it by using his medallion. As their battle continues, the sternritter uses his Bankai against him. In chapter 507, we see that the activation of head captain Yamamoto's Bankai Zanka no Tachi appears to be evaporating all of the water from the Serete, including the ice of Hyorin-maru. Hitsugaya tells Cang Du that he cannot use his Bankai anymore under these conditions. Cang Du is among the sternritter who react to the sudden appearance of Ichigo Ichigo when he arrives to save the Soul Society. Now this is actually the last time that we see Cang Du during the first Quincy invasion. He had quite a short appearance, which was improved upon by the anime, which thankfully showcases some of his abilities during his battle against Hitsugaya. Overall, it gives us a better introduction to his character than what we had received within the manga. We see the Sternritter again in chapter 543 after the Wandenreich leaves the Soul Society and they return to the Shadow Realm. He is present when Yhwach announces that Uryu will be his successor, news that angers some of the other Sternritter, with Cang Du remaining indifferent about the matter. He is seen to be listening to Baz B, BG9 and Mask discuss the issue, with him remaining silent. Now Cang Du does have more of a role within the second Quincy invasion when he returns to battle Hitsugaya. He appears just as Baz B is about to deliver the finishing blow to the wounded young captain. He ends up reminding Baz B that Yhwach had ordered those that had robbed the Shinigami of their Bankai to kill their respective victims. Cang Du promises to kill Hitsugaya by delivering to him a final attack while he is on the ground. In chapter 552, we see Baz B ask if he is stealing his kill from him, but Cang Du tells him that Yhwach will punish them if they don't follow his orders. He did order them to kill the captains with their own Bankai after all. Cang Du reveals that he has already taken out Rangiku as he tosses her lifeless body in front of Hitsugaya. He reveals that he had found her not too far from here and had gone out of his way to bring her to him. After all, she is his precious lieutenant. He decides that the two of them will die side by side as he reveals himself to be Sternritter I, Cang Du The Iron. He speaks about his beliefs that those who live together should die together, as he then activates his stolen Bankai Daiguren Hyorenmaru, telling Hitsugaya that it must be strange to be up against his own Bankai. He reveals that it is a beautiful Bankai and this power had also lived together with Hitsugaya. He tells him that he will hold on to his Bankai that he had stolen from him so that it continues to live on even after he dies. He apologizes for this because it is contradictory to his beliefs that he had mentioned just moments ago about those who live together dying together. At the end of chapter 552, after Hitsugaya touches the Shadow Infiltration Pill, which has been delivered to him by Urahara, Cang Du asks him what it is. When the pill takes effect, we see one of the wings of Daiguren Hyorenmaru break off of Cang Du's back, as blood splatters out from his body, much to his surprise. This is because the pill that Hitsugaya has just swallowed has allowed him to holify his Bankai for a split second, thus making his Bankai poisonous to the Quincy, as the ice wing falls from his back and begins to grow onto Hitsugaya's back, much to his surprise. He looks at his medallion, stating that there appears to be no irregularities with it, asking Hitsugaya why is it that his Bankai is returning to him. He tells him that he doesn't know, maybe it's because Hyorenmaru wants to come back home. Cang Du tells him not to belittle the Quincy. They are trained in order to control the Bankai that they had stolen. He rushes towards him, attempting to attack him with the remainder of the Bankai power that he has left, but the ice is redirected just before it makes impact with Hitsugaya, telling him not to be ridiculous because Hyorenmaru cannot attack himself. He attempts to kick him, but he is blocked by ice, as Cang Du tells him to stop speaking about his Bankai as if it has a mind of its own, revealing that he doesn't believe in pantheism before kicking him into the air. Following this, Hitsugaya questions if he really believes that Bankai are not sentient. Cang Du reaffirms his belief by stating that yes, this seems to be the case, as Hitsugaya welcomes back Hyorenmaru, stating that he hasn't heard his voice in a while, expressing his gratitude for him coming back. We see Hitsugaya's menacing holified Bankai as Cang Du realizes that his ice wings have disappeared completely, meaning that the Bankai is completely returned to Hitsugaya now. The Sternritter uses his snake claw ability, but he ends up being encased into a giant ice structure which is shaped after the crest of Hyorenmaru. In chapter 554, after Hitsugaya collapses, Cang Du activates his holy form and shatters the ice prison that he was held within. Now the last time that we see Cang Du within the manga is in chapter 559, when he is taken back to the Wandenreich headquarters along with BG9. We see the two of them restrained and sitting in front of Yhwach after they were rescued following their defeats. Yhwach and Haschwalth step forward as judgment is about to be decreed upon those who were defeated. BG9 begs them for another chance since they have been revived with the release of their holy forms. They are still capable of fighting for Yhwach after all, but Yhwach says that they were fortunate to have escaped death, as Haschwalth tells them to thank their good fortune, as he holds out his sword, stating that a life saved by good fortune will be removed by an equivalent amount of misfortune. He tries to cut down Cang Du, but he is surprised when his blade is stopped. The Sternritter asks Haschwalth if he has forgotten his ability to iron, which makes it quite easy to stop his blade. He taunts him to try and cut him again if he can. He adamantly states that he will not be killed by anyone other than Yhwach. Haschwalth reveals to him that this is the second act of good fortune that he has been granted. Haschwalth then asks if he can see the scale tipping as he deals twice the amount of misfortune onto Cang Du, allowing him to bypass his iron ability and cut down the sternritter's body clean in half, killing him. Unfortunately, that is the end of Cang Du's role within the 1000-year Blood War arc. In the brief time that he had, he was able to showcase his very interesting powers as well as the use of his reishi claws. His ability the iron had allowed him to coat his body in a layer of iron, making it impossible to physically harm him when the power was active. The iron could withstand an attack from Hitsugaya's Zanpakuto as well as being able to defend against a strike from Haschwalth's blade. Cang Du really does live up to his Bruce Lee inspired design by proving himself to be very proficient in hand-to-hand combat. He was able to dish out swift kicks to the wings of Maru as well as being able to kick Hitsugaya high into the sky. Cang Du's reishi claws are his primary weapon that he utilized, as he forms them by gathering reishi and transforming it into these weapons. His claws were strong enough to break through a wall of ice created by Hitsugaya's Bankai, and while he is wielding his claws, he is able to use an ability called Snake Claw, where he places one fist on top of the other, enabling him to fire a blast of energy from his claws. These blasts of energy together form what looks like the head of a serpent. He tries to use this attack against Hitsugaya moments before he was defeated. Now, Cang Du's holy form wasn't really revealed to us in great detail, but we do know that it was strong enough to break through the ice that he was encased within. Now, this was pretty much everything that we know about the character of Cang Du. We've looked at the inspiration behind his appearance, discussed his perspectives and beliefs on pantheism, as well as his stoic personality and his role within the final arc of Bleach. I really would have liked to see more of Cang Du's character, learning more about his backstory, because sadly he ends up being one of the lesser known sternritters who is severely underutilized within the manga. So I am hoping that the 1000-year Blood War arc anime gives him a bit more screen time, helping to flesh out his character a bit more, because the foundations for a rich character are there. They just need to be built upon. So what are your thoughts on Sternritter I Cang Du the Iron? I look forward to reading all of your thoughts in the comments about this very interesting character. And lastly, thank you for making it to the end of this video, and I cannot wait to see you in my next Bleach video. If you enjoy my content, then you can support my channel through Patreon for as little as $1 a month, or even through YouTube by becoming a channel member. You will gain access to exclusive channel perks and a Discord server which I frequently use. So become a member of my Zero Division and be the first to know about my upcoming videos. And once again, thank you for sticking around till the end of the video, and whatever you contribute will mean a lot to me.